basic of task can be achieved by hitting this Add Task button, and it will pop up a new window. We can select the type of task this is, and again, this is for your own use, so you can edit this menu as you see fit. The status of the task. On this one, you'll notice it is not editable because the program is looking for very specific information, so it's looking for it to say completed or dismissed in order to remove it off of your list of active tasks, for example. And we can say that this needs action. For your subject line, you'll notice as I start typing that there are some options that come up already, and if I hit my little down arrow, I'll see those. This is an editable menu as well. Let me remove everything from there so we see all the options. This is just a shortcut way to enter in subjects that are used most frequently, so you can modify this to your own need. You'll notice as I start typing that it takes me to that part of the list if the list is showing. If I click into the field again and just start typing, it's going to try and guess what I want, or if I click on the list at this point, it'll just show me what my next options are. I can enter in the date, and this date will be either today's date, if this is something I've just done and I want to keep track of it, or I can enter in a date in the future and have it come up and remind me of that at that point. Say I'm going to call Bugs on the 9th instead of today. For Who, it is going to default to the account that you used to log into FastTracker. So that's another reason why it's a good idea to create yourself an account, as we saw earlier in the video, so it has your name in here instead of the generic username. And if you're doing team coaching, this also allows you to enter in somebody else's name if you would like for them to be the one to make this call. Under What, you can enter in whatever text you want. And on the bottom, you'll note that there is a place for internal notes. This is helpful for those situations where you might be creating an email so that you're sending this task actually to your client as an email. The body of this will become the body of the email, and the subject becomes the subject of the email. And you want a place to enter notes for yourself that the client doesn't see. You'll notice at this point that I have a few options across the top. I can print this. I can send this as an email instead. I could select a letter template instead of entering the information in myself. I can print this message, or I can print it on letterhead. If I'm done, I can also just hit the Close tab. So I'm just going to hit Close at this point. So we've entered in our first task for this contact. Now if I go back to my main screen, I'm going to go to Task Reminders, and this will be the place where FastTracker opens to after your third login. The first time it'll go to Settings to make sure you have that set up correctly. The second time it goes to Navigation, and then from your third login forward it will take you to this Task Reminders by default. Since I know I now have task entered into the system, I'm going to go ahead and hit my Refresh tab and let it update all the tasks for today. At this point, it's set up to only show me any tasks that are due in the next one day. And as you can see, there's nothing listed. However, if I change this out to the next 7 days, then I'll see the task that I had created for Bugs Bunny. From this screen, I can either pull that task back up by clicking on the type. Then I can enter in my notes, change it to completed if I'd like, which would remove it off of the list. Close that. I can also from here click on the client name and go directly to Bugs Bunny and see all of the information. Or I can choose the status and change the status from here. You'll notice once I hit completed or dismissed, then it removes it from my task reminders list. This is only for incomplete task. If we come back to the contacts module, you'll see that I do have other options. I can send an email, make a call, send a template. We'll go into these in more detail in the contacts management portion of the training videos. For now, I just want to show you we can send a template. FastTracker comes pre-populated with certain templates, and we'll just pick this Feeling Hungry or Plateau. And you'll notice that it entered in Bugs' name. It would put the first name in from whichever client we're on, and at the very bottom it has my name down here. And this information comes from We go back out to the main, we go to our settings task. It comes from the information we entered here earlier. That's why it's important to fill that out. If I go back to the template that I'm trying to send, I want to make sure that I have chosen the email address I want to send this from. It'll automatically bring over Bugs's email address. I can change the subject line at this point if I'd like to. For example, I don't really need that colon there. You'll notice that it has attached any files that were part of the template. We'll go into templates in much more detail later, but for right now I can see on this right hand side that it has attached this plateau for client, and then I can just hit my send email button. After the email has sent, it just becomes one of my historical items in my task section. So I can see that I sent this email today, I can see who sent it, in this case it was me, I'm logged in as user, and that this task is completed. That's a basic overview of how to add in a contact and create the first few tasks for that contact. There's much more that you can do with a contact record, particularly around the client profile, where it can set up auto task reminders and automatically enter in the task for the first 4 days and the 21st day. Also allow you to have a check-in day where it can create a task for a client every X number of days or every Wednesday, for example. We'll go into all of this in much more detail in the contact management video. That's it for this quick start guide. I recommend that you look at the Office in Motion video next so that you can import all of your existing clients into Fast Tracker without having to manually go through and do that.